What's up guys, it's Trevor with Embers Living. Today we have a new video. You could probably tell behind me. It's our brand new top 5 freestanding wood stoves. Guess what? We got new brands here, and for the first time ever in our top 5 videos, we're actually burning some of these. So you're gonna see these live burning. I'm gonna show you how to operate them. It's gonna be awesome, and that's gonna help us decide which stove reigns king as the #1 wood burning stove on the market today. Let's roll. Don't forget, if you're shopping for anything in our top 5, if you like the way you've been educated here, give us a chance at the business. We're in the Denver metro area. You can come to our showroom physically. If you're not, call us. Some of these products we can ship, some we can't. Give us a call, we can help you out, and give us a shot at the business before you get educated here and buy it somewhere else. I can't tell you how many times that happens, so hope you enjoy the video. So we have a brand new brand. I think I've said this before in some videos, but it's a really, really popular wood stove brand, and we're finally excited to welcome it to the Embers family, and it's definitely in the top 5, and so which means we had to boot another brand, but what are you gonna do? All right, should we get down to business, get down to number 5? Okay, coming in at number 5, it's gonna be the brand called MF Fire. I don't know why they're called MF Fire. Not my favorite name in the world, but that's what they're called. So what do we like about these guys? So it's gonna be a steel stove. So this is the Novo. This is gonna be the smallest size. And then they have the Novo 2, which is a little bit bigger. Now what's really cool about them is they have different size pedestals. So this is like the medium sized pedestal that this sits on. They also have little 6-inch legs if you want like a little mini-me stove. And then they have like a really tall one. And then they also sell like a really cool bench for it. So what I really like about them is the aesthetic options for them. They're a little bit more contemporary. It is gonna be a catalytic wood burning stove. So with a catalytic stove, they're gonna give you a little bit longer burn times, a little bit more efficient, does qualify for the tax credit. If you wanna know the difference between like a reburn stove and a catalytic stove, we'll include a link down below. I did a video last year really demonstrating that. Your bypass is right here. The only annoying thing is like you need a hook or something. It's too hot right now because we've been burning this today to engage that. So right now it's engaged. They do give you a cool little thermometer for the top of the stove. But probably what's really cool, now this benefits me more than the homeowner, but I only have to stock one SKU because these also can turn into inserts. So you can just put a surround on it and not buy a pedestal, and then you're ready to roll with an insert. We've been burning it all day, so I do know that it has good long burn times. You're gonna get overnight burns with this stove. What I really like about it as far as functionality, that's what I like about it aesthetically, but from a functionality standpoint, if you look on the roof of this thing, it's got like a 45-degree angle on the roof, and then the catalytic combustor sits in behind there. It gives you, when the fire's really ripping, it gives you a really attractive flame. And so it looks really, really good while it's burning. It's really pretty, one of the prettier looking flames on the marketplace. So aesthetically, it does that very well. But it also has a very tall viewing area. So even though this is a relatively small stove as far as cubic feet on the firebox, really nice big window, and you can see it's a little dirty around the edges because we're going down to the final part of the burn, but it has a really good air wash system. So air wash system is where it keeps that front really clean by just the natural heat of the fireplace, and this one does that. So that glass always stays relatively clean compared to its competitors. That's why we like this guy. Again, it is well priced, and it does qualify for the tax credit. I guess my only complaint would be with MF is they need a few more SKUs. It's basically 2 sizes, but they know what they do well. They keep it simple. That's it. Should we get to number 4? All right, coming in at number 4. It's gonna be the Supreme Novo series. So see, number 5 was Nova, number 4 is Novo. Get it? So this is by Supreme. Now this is the Supreme, or the Novo 38. So this is the big dog. This is the biggest one they sell. Obviously, huge thing about it's gonna be the big glass viewing area. One thing I do like about, I failed to mention this on the 5th stove too, but the latch materials on the outside of the firebox. So that's gonna help with longevity of the latch sort of maintaining. You know, if this gets loose and airtight, then your stove's not gonna be running very efficiently. Your air controls are gonna be up here on the top, and this is a non-catalytic. So this is a reburn stove. The only bummer about it is, of course, they designed the stove a long time ago, then they came out with a new tax credit after this was designed, and unfortunately it does not qualify for the tax credit. But for a contemporary attractiveness, I don't think there's anything better as far as variety of sizes than the Supreme products. You also have two options on the inside of the stove. So this has the soapstone instead of fire brick, and the soapstone, which we'll be getting into a little bit later in this video, soapstone is known for retaining heat for longer periods of time. So it should increase your burn time. The only thing I think is gonna be minimal because this soapstone isn't the thickest soapstone I've ever seen. So whatever advantages you will gain, I don't think it will be on a large scale. So I don't know if you would really pick soapstone over cast iron based on performance. I wouldn't pick it one over the other on aesthetics either, because as soon as you cook, or not cook on this, but start a fire in this, it's gonna be the same old song and dance. I'll show you what the cast iron looks like quick too. So this is their built-in model, but you can see it's cast iron refractory panels with a brick pattern, and what's cool is these are reversible if you wanted more of a fluted pattern. And again, that's just gonna be aesthetic. Cast iron is almost as good as soapstone as retaining heat. Either way, whether it's cast iron or soapstone, it's gonna do better than regular fire brick, and it's more durable. So I think cast iron would be the more durable out of the two. Your soapstone can crack, especially those thinner pieces. So durability wise, I'd recommend cast iron. All right, should we get to our top three, which is our top three stoves is like 95% of the stoves we sell. So this is really where we want to focus and pay attention. Our top three are our biggest three brand names, I think, in the industry. Let's go. Okay, so our next three brands make up the top three, and they're some of the most iconic, oldest wood stove brands in the industry. We have Vermont Castings, we have Yodel, and we have Hearthstone. So what comes in at number three? Pa, 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 pa. Yodel. So what makes Yodel so cool? Well, here's their top two models. They essentially have this little guy here, which is one of their best sellers and one of their oldest design stoves of all time. It is adorable, and it's nicknamed the Little Giant. So it's not a catalytic stove. It heats about 800 square feet. Obviously does not take up much of a footprint, and it takes a 4-inch flue collar, so you have to adapt that usually to a 6-inch. What do we like about this guy? Well, obviously it's small and petite. I would say the only other thing that we sell that's close to it would be like the Aspen, the Vermont Castings Aspen wood stove, where we're gonna load our wood vertically. We're gonna try it out and see how much wood we can fit in here. But check this out on the back. This flue collar is reversible. So we can rear vent this stove if we want. And then we were just having a debate. We called and we could not get an answer onto what this does. And I don't really know either. They said it's decorative, but I don't believe that, because why would it be removable? All these little cast iron thingies here, I think it's part of this heat exchanger for the secondary burn to help with heat retention. And then my guess would be the steel top here allows us to make it a cooktop. So you can put a cast iron pan or something on there. And then of course you have this adorable little door. And check this out, our air control is right on the front here. So that's our little air control for this little guy. It doesn't take much. And this little adorable little latch, look at that. All right, let's try to fit some wood in here, see what we can do. So it says it takes a 16-inch log. Obviously you're gonna load your wood long ways. That's a 16-inch log. That actually fits pretty good. Now I got other stuff in there, but I bet you I can fit 2 or 3 logs in there. Let's see. Okay, let's see here. Got some longer pieces. Ooh, that one's getting a little snug. I don't know. Yeah, I bet you when I took everything out, you could fit 3 logs. 3 16-inch logs after it's really hot. And then I discovered taking this out. Remember I said you need a pipe adapter? Well, it comes with one. So there's your single wall 4 to 6-inch pipe adapter, which 6-inch is what everyone stocks. It's what you can buy, so you're definitely gonna want 6-inch. So that's the Little Giant, and it's one of the most tried and true little tiny stoves of all time, especially like all these ADUs going in and tiny houses, yurts. Believe it or not, we have people with yurts trying to put those in, so that's it there. Okay, let's get to the most popular model. So this is the Oslo, or Oslo. It's Norwegian, so I don't know how they exactly say it. But what's really popular about it, it's hard to show you right here, but it does have a side load option. I don't know why. I don't get the appeal to side load. Maybe you guys put it in the comment section, but people just eat that up. People love side load stoves. They just do. So it has a side load option. This is the blue-black cast iron. So that's sort of the stock basic color. What's really unique about it is almost like more of a satin, almost like an eggshell finish, if that makes sense. You know, versus like a matte black. It does have a little more sheen to it, doesn't it, Chris?
Kind of does, yeah.
A little bit. So that's the main finish. It comes in like a turquoise blue and then like a brown color as well. Then they have the CF model, which I believe, this is my powers of deduction, my Sherlock Holmes hat. I believe CF stands for clean face because the CF model is basically the same thing without the door webbing. Our air controls right here, and then you can see we have a 6-inch round, and then what's really cool is it looks like this is flippable if we need to rear vent this as well. So what's really unique about this is how big the stove is. So we're gonna get 11-hour burn times, and it's really, really wide in there. Got cast iron sides, fire brick on the back. So you can fit a lot of wood, but what makes this stove so special is gonna be performance. So burns at 0.5 grams, which is very, very low for a stove this size. So it's gonna be extremely efficient. Now, one of the things that makes this thing so efficient is going to be how mindless it is to operate it. Now, when I say mindless, it is a catalytic stove, but they have a unique catalytic design in it where the way a normal catalytic stove works, when I talked about like the MF fire, for example, is you have to let the stove get to temperature in bypass mode. Then once the stove is at 500 degrees, you have to engage the catalytic combustor so you don't gunk up that catalytic combustor, and then so it can operate. This has its own catalytic combustor in it, and it's doing its own thing. So for example, if you look back here, you can see in this little cage, we have like a little temperature setting. Now that is adjusting the catalytic combustor, but also the catalytic system in it. I'll show you a clip from our other video. Chris, show them the clip, but they're like little tiny honeycombs. So this one has a little bit wider of honeycombs, so it's still like as efficient, but it's not gunking up as much, and then it's sort of self-engaging itself. So you really don't have to touch it. Really, the only control on this stove is going to be your air control, and that's a huge appeal to the stove. So the fact that it's tried and true, the fact that it has a big firebox, the fact that it is one of the most efficient stoves with one of the longest burn times. Oh, and also, most catalytic combustors have like a 2 or 3 year warranty. This catalytic combustor gives you a 20-year warranty. So they're just telling you, we're gonna let this thing do its own thing and we're gonna warranty it for 20 years. No one else in the industry has that. That's why it's so awesome. That's why it's ranked in our top 5. That's why it immediately jumped to number 3, because it's one of the most tried and true brands out there. And it has all those features. Then we also have an ash pan down below. All right, should we get to number 2? Okay, so you guys are gonna hate this, but what's ranked number 2 and ranked number 1, it's obviously between the Vermont Castings and the Hearthstone Heritage is the best-selling model. Which one's number 2 and which one's number 1 is gonna depend on you. So I always tell people this at home, don't always just go off of 100% of what I say. Go off of what your personal needs are and apply what you've learned in this video and apply it to your circumstances, and then go from there. So I'm gonna tell you what I would rank number 1 or number 2 based on what is more important to you and what your needs are, okay? So let me run through some of the features of the 2 of them together, and then I'm gonna tell you which one is better depending on what your needs are. Come on. Okay, so quick overview. I'm gonna overview Vermont Castings, I'm gonna overview Hearthstone, and I'm gonna tell you the pros and cons of both of them. So Vermont Castings, let's start there. So they have the Intrepid, which is a little bit bigger than the Little Giant. They have the Aspen, like I said, but the Intrepid really starts the family of the smallest of this run of stoves. And for the most part, if you wanna see some major differences between them, they're all fairly much the same. So we have the Intrepid, we have the Dauntless, which we don't have here. We have the Encore, which is right here. And then we have the Defiant, which is the big dog with the dragon warming shelves, fan favorite. Those are the 4 sizes. Aesthetics goes down to personal feel, but I don't think there's anything that gives you a more classic look than a Vermont Casting stove. I would say the Bordeaux red is our most popular color. There's not much out there as far as brands making that type of color. So it has a huge advantage from the aesthetics appeal. Comes with an ash pan, has air control, catalytic converter. It does qualify for the tax credit. So they basically have everything. Their ace in the hole though is the top load feature. So in a few minutes, we're gonna cut to some footage showing this top load feature in action. I'm gonna get to this again depending on what your needs are, but the top load is the real deal. From a functionality standpoint, it is absolutely legit. It allows you to load more wood, and I'm not doing this all the time. So, you know, depending on your health needs, or if you just like the convenience of not getting up and down all the time, this is awesome. And it absolutely changes how you're gonna operate your wood stove. And if that's more important to you, that's where number one, it could be ranked number one depending on your needs. All right, let's get to the soapstone. So the Hearthstone Heritage is our by far 90% of our sales with Hearthstone model. And again, part of it's because of the stinking side load feature. So we have a side load door on the Heritage. There we go. Is catalytic controlled. It does have air tubes in it. So it's actually more of a hybrid stove. So it has reburn tubes and catalytic combustor in it. Our air control is going to be right here to actually control the amount of air going into the stove. Air wash system, the works. Again, like the Vermont castings, it's loaded up, super efficient, qualifies for the tax credits. But why would you buy this thing? So these pieces of soapstone are the stove. So a lot of brands are going to essentially, you know, have little pieces of Hearthstone that are going to help. This Hearthstone is like this thick. Like, it is the stove. The cast iron is basically the bones holding it together. And then these solid pieces of Hearthstone are mortared into the stove. So that 3-4 inch piece of Hearthstone, or soapstone I should say, that's gonna start retaining heat. And people think of like cast iron retains a little bit, or steel retains a little bit of heat, cast iron retains more heat, and then soapstone retains the most heat. So we actually have a video on the three versus each other. We'll include a link down below if you want to check that out. Go ahead and watch that. But you would want this stove if burn time and efficiency is your number one driving factor. So in our testing from our other video, I'm not going to give the whole video away, but 16 hours later, do you know which stove was the hottest? It's going to be this one. So if it's 100% your heat source and efficiency is more important to you than anything, that's where this would become my number one. If ease of use and a beautiful aesthetics is your number one, go with this. Because in our burn tests, let's cut to some footage actually, Chris. Let's show them some footage between the two. Show them how easy it was to top load this. So you can see from our testing, this is no slouch either. It was still hot in the morning, and the cast iron radiates a little more into the room, whereas the soapstone kind of holds it in a little bit more, but it stays hotter for longer. So it's gonna heat your house for longer periods of time. If you need to stretch it to 15, 16 hours where you can't reload the stove, then the soapstone is my number one choice. If not, let's just say if it was my house, well, my house, it wouldn't be my number one heat source. So I would probably put in the Vermont castings because I just like the ease of use. It's a lot easier to use, and I really love how pretty they are, personally. That's just me personal. So, all right, so there's our top 5 in a nutshell. Tell me how dead on I am. You can tell me how wrong I am. A lot of you guys love telling me how wrong I am. It's like one of your favorite things to do. Bring it on. That's just, because remember, these aren't facts. This is my opinion. So before you get all huffy, guess what? Two people do have different opinions. That's normal, right? Not everyone in the world has the exact same opinion. So if your opinion is different than mine, don't get mad about it. Just tell me. Tell me what your opinion is. It's not a big deal. If you think I'm wrong, cool, sweet. We'll see you guys next time.